there's a glorified body. Now imagine this, the body that we have right now, we are very limited. We only see the perception of the world around us. Everything is filtered. It's like the box that ends up having to have an interpretation of the world around us that's full of these senses that we call retinas, eardrums. We end up having an olfactory gland, and we're able to perceive, or smell, or hear sound. We can see, but we only see within a limited spectrum. We can hear, but it has to be between 20 and 20,000 hertz. Anything higher than that, we don't perceive it. It doesn't go through the filter and into the box that we call our mind. When we open up our mind, it ends up allowing for us to have a new perception. Jesus speaks about this, and he actually comes from the prophet Isaiah. He says, those that have eyes see and ears to hear. But how is it that we end up having eyes and ears, and yet we are blind and deaf to most of the sounds and the perceptions around us? There is music all around me right now from radio frequencies, yet we do not hear all of the music, though it exists. There are sounds vibrating within the spectrum. It is a frequency. But the glorified body ends up having it to where, imagine, if I could look around, and rather than seeing the visible spectrum that we have, what if I could see ultraviolet? What if I could see infrared? What if I could see the gamma rays, the alpha rays, the beta rays that were set forth, radio waves, x-rays, all of it? And I understood everything within existence. I could see that, I could feel the spirit. What if there's an emotion that is set forth that ends up changing the very frequency of a person? It is a wave. They did a test on this. They took water molecules and they projected emotion towards them and looked at the crystalline structure of the water. When they put love towards it, it built a symmetry. It was beautiful. It looked like the parallel of the most beautiful snowflake you could see in a crystalline structure of water, and then they caught it on camera. That's the same way. But to understand that in the parallel to that, that if you end up looking towards, for instance, the hatred of this world, it creates a dissonance. And they found that as well. But to understand that, and that is part of that glorified body. It says in heaven the angels are constantly chanting, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Yahweh Shabbat. But they are building forth the holiness, that perfect reflection of God. It is that emanation, direct conscious contact with God, and then building forth in the presence of his throne, perfection, glorified body. Well, imagine to look towards that. You know, there is a way that God can build you up in every different way to give you a new perception. He can build you up physically, but there is a world beyond this that we have to understand and look beyond what we end up interpreting and start to realize that God hears our prayers. If he can hear our prayers, that means that the very thoughts and the perceptions that we have are on a universal level into another level, to another dimension. It's here, but like the same way that we don't see those radio waves, we don't see the thoughts of the person around us, but God does. That flows through the air. It's in the atmosphere. I want to challenge you to go forth today and build in the same way that we end up having that music that flows through the air. Have your prayer, your supplications, and your thanksgiving. Take those supplications, that prayer and that thanksgiving of God, and build it forth into this world. I want you to have that. And I want you to look towards Christ and receive the eternal salvation that cometh forth from his name. I pray for you to receive that glorification, that kavod Israel, and the blessing of Jesus Christ, our Messiah. God bless. God bless America.